Broadly speaking, each Inquisitor controls a network of agents beholden to serve their needs and interests. In turn, each Inquisitor also has certain obligations to their Ordo, Conclave, or Conscience which they must fulfill. Often experienced Inquisitors, or ones in need of specific services depending on their Ordo or the current situation at hand, will have retinues of henchmen that he has deemed most useful. These retinues can be made up of a variety of individuals, from medics to lobotomized gun servitors carrying massive heavy weapons. Here is the full list of known Inquisitor henchmen. First we have the Acolytes, also known as the Interrogators or Explicators. An Inquisitor can take on apprentices and teach them everything he knows, so that they too can someday become full Inquisitors like their master. Then the Chirurgeons, also known as the Torturers, Excoriators, and Sisters Hospitaller. Members of the Adepta Sororitatis, Orders Hospitaller, or just those individuals trained in torture, interrogation and punishment, they can aid an Inquisitor in interrogating prisoners or healing wounds done to them and his acolytes in battle. Then the Familiars, also known as the Cherubim, the Servo Skulls, the Cyper Eagles. By far the strangest of henchmen, Familiars boost the psychic prowess of Psyker Inquisitors and allow him greater initiative. Then the Hierophants, also known as the Castigators, the Ecclesiarchy Priests or the Exorcists. These are fiery members of the Ecclesiarchy. They boost the faith of the demon hunters they are in service to and chant exorcisms and prayers that can cause agony to nearby demons. Then the Mystics, also known as the Astropaths, the Warp Seers, and the Sanctioned Psychers. Sanctioned Psychers are used by the Inquisition to detect the presence of demonic creatures. Then we have the Penitent, also known as the Bound Psychers, the Penitent Witches, or the Pariahs. When a witch hunter makes a heretic psyker repent his sins, a notably rare event, he could become what could be called a psychic lightning rod, absorbing the psychic attacks of other heretic psykers and protecting the Inquisitor and his retinue in battle. Then the Sages, also known as the Auto-Savants, the Lex Mechanics, and the Calculus Logi, individuals whose mathematical skills are so keen that they can calculate firing angles and trajectories perfectly, increasing the chance for an Inquisitor's ranged weaponry to hit its mark. Then of course the Warriors, also known as the Imperial Guard Veterans, the Combat Servitors, the Gun Servitors, the Crusaders, and the Adeptus Arbites Arbitrators. These individuals, or, well, mindless automatons in the case of the Servitors, act as bodyguards and combat support for Inquisitors and serve their master in direct physical combat against the minions of chaos. And, at last, the Untouchables. Inquisitors may also bring an Untouchable, a psychic blank who possesses the anti-psyker pariah gene to counter detection from that of another psyker or a group of psykers. Normally, an Untouchable does little more than serve as a tourist who follows the Inquisitor. Use of Untouchables in the Inquisition was first introduced by Inquisitor Gregor Eisenhorn, who, after finding one, helped form a distaff because of their usefulness against the many powerful psykers the Inquisition encounters. This distaff was ultimately attacked and destroyed by the heretic Pontius Glor, but untouchables have continued to be used in inquisitorial retinues after their underrated ability saved this inquisitor many times. Some other prominent examples of untouchables include Wistan Froka of Gideon Ravenor's retinue and Jürgen, who was a part of the retinue of Commissar Cyphers Kane. I should also note that especially helpful, competent, or, well, attractive retainers may become permanent members of an Inquisitor's retinue as new acolytes, helping him bring light to the dark corners of the galaxy. The Inquisition does not have a formal hierarchy, and there is no system of ranks or command such as is found in the Imperial military or the Adeptus Terra. Authority within the Inquisition is governed by two factors: reputation and influence. Seniority is in itself no indicator of authority. However, most Inquisitors will take heed of the wisdom of an older and more experienced peer. There is one position amongst the Inquisition that carries with it more power and authority than any other: the Inquisitorial Representative to the Senatorum Imperialis. One of the High Lords of Terra, the Inquisitorial Representative is nominated from amongst the Inquisitor Lords of the sector surrounding Terra, and Inquisitors that have filled this role are referred to as an Inquisitor Lord Terran. It is not unusual for several Inquisitor Lords Terran to share the role of Inquisitorial Representative at the same time. Though the attendance of the representative is always appreciated, their position in the chambers of the Senatorum Imperialis is often empty, and their vote conferred by a missive. Such are the demands of the Inquisition. An inquisitorial representative may fulfill their role only once in their life, or they may attend the Senatorum for several standard years. The requirements of service to the Inquisition may necessitate them leaving Terra to attend a high conclave, while others quickly tire of the bureaucracy and politics that the Senatorum is based upon and relinquish their position to return to more active roles out in the wider galaxy. To avoid unpleasant politicking on the part of the representative, the mixum term that an Inquisitor Lord Terran can serve on the Senatorum is 5 standard years, after which they must stand down. It is rare that the Inquisitor Lords cannot agree on a candidate for the role, for it does carry little more honor than that of messenger. The representative communicates the will of the Inquisition, not their own. However, it does come with a great deal of responsibility. While the Inquisition enjoys absolute authority, in reality, the corporation of the other High Lords is essential in maintaining this position. If a representative were to cross the Fabricator General of Mars, for instance, the starships and arms by which the Inquisition's power is maintained may be put at risk. Conversely, if the Inquisition feels that an organization is stinting in its dedication, pressure can be applied to the relevant High Lord, turning an organizational issue into one of personal confidence. In this respect, the representative is an unparalleled position of leverage, for they have not attained this role by personal ambition or desire, and therefore risk no personal stake in their dealings with the other High Lords. They, on the other hand, will be only too aware of the subordinates that view their position with envy and ambition, and so must actively protect their power at each turn. the merest hint of the Inquisition's displeasure can be the catalyst for a High Lord being removed by those they represent. Those High Lords whose position is non-permanent, such as the leader of the Chartist Captains or the Lord Solar, are particularly vulnerable to this type of careful manipulation by the representative, for they risk not only their personal privilege but also that of the organization they represent. Thus, the careful balance of power between the Inquisition and the rest of the Imperium is carefully preserved. As well as garnering support for the Inquisition's endeavors, the representative has two other main responsibilities. The first is to warn the Senatorum of threats significant enough to trouble their debates. The Inquisition operates in such a way that it is normally the first to become aware of emergent menaces to the Imperium, and has proven this with regards to the Necron Awakening, the arrival of the Tyranid Hive Fleet, the advent of a Hrud migration, and during many other momentous events. Thus, it serves as the High Lord's eyes and ears across the galaxy, enabling them to bypass the dreary and lengthy processes maintained by the Adeptus Terra when the need arises. Such warnings come not only for information, but are inevitably attended with a recommended course of action. The High Lords will debate this recommendation, of course, usually modifying it in some form or other, and then begin turning the great wheels of the Imperium to implement their plans. There have been instances in the Imperium's past when the representative has been absent for many years, and in such times the Senatorum has become more rife with politics and infighting than is usual. The height of this was Lord Gorge Vandar's claim of the joint titles of Master of the Administratum and Ecclesiarch, heralding the age of apostasy or the assassin wars of vindication that followed shortly after the Reign of Blood. The Inquisition at the time was unaware of these internal problems, faced as they were by increasing discoveries of an ancient alien civilization seeded throughout the halo stars and dead worlds at the edge of the galaxy. There are also two other inquisitorial ranks. First, the Grand Master, which is a title sometimes given to an Inquisitor Lord who runs a standing sector or subsector conclave, such as Lord Orsini, Grand Master of the Ordos Helican of the Helican subsector, and the Master rank, where an Ordo has a strong presence in a sector or subsector. The senior Inquisitor Lord of each Ordo in that specific region's conclave may be given the title of Master. In the Ordos Helican conclave of the Helican subsector, for instance, there are 3 Masters, one for each of the Ordos Majores, who, as well as overseeing the members of their Ordos, also provide counsel to the Grand Master of the conclave and are responsible for choosing their successor should they die or retire.